Hello guys, I'm Aiden from Adventures in Airtime, and today I'm talking about Flamingo Land, or if I go by its official title, Flamingo Land Resort Yorkshire.
How much fun can your family pack into a Flamingo Land holiday?
Go wild at Flamingo Land, Malton, North Yorkshire. Wild animals, wilder rides.
Wild animals, wilder rides.
Now the park has a huge amount of history, but I've done my best with the research, but I might get a few things wrong, so please forgive me if I do. The origin of Flamingo Land dates back over 200 years, when early in the 19th century, King George III commissioned Kirby Misperton Hall as a gift for the Blomberg family. Sadly, I couldn't find any pictures of the family. Here's a picture of King George III. Kirby Misperton Hall is a mansion built towards the end of the 18th century in front of two lakes. It was once the focal point for the Kirby Misperton village. It's described in a 1938 auction as situated in Kirby Misperton village with pleasure grounds, gardens and lakes, and comprising of 28 acres or thereabouts, with an easy reach of Scarborough, Whitby and York. Alderman Twentyman bought the Kirby Misperton estate in 1903, and from here he went to great lengths to develop Chinese gardens and piazzas by bringing Chinese and Italian labourers to do the work. He lived at the hall for 25 years until his death in 1928. After lying empty for 10 years, the whole estate was sold in a 1938 auction to Mr Ainsworth, but during the war years was occupied by troops. In 1950 it was opened as a country club by Major and Mrs Stone. However, the hall's destiny changed completely in 1959 when it was purchased by Edwin Pentland and Francis Hick, who bought the hall as they saw potential in its grounds as a great place for an animal collection. They named it the Yorkshire Zoological Gardens, and began to purchase and home animals in the park. First animal to arrive was a baby elephant. They also had a giant tortoise, a colony of flamingos, bottlenose dolphins, bears and a range of animals from around the world. It was during this time that a lot of the infrastructure around the park was built, including a lot of the paths you see and the sea lion arena. But back then it wasn't the sea lion arena, it was a dolphin show, and at one point they had a killer whale, or two, or three, I'm not sure. They had killer whales at Flamingo Land. Crazy. Unfortunately, the business couldn't sustain itself, and it was sold in the 1960s to Scotia Investments. During their ownership, Scotia spent lots of money on the park. They invested a whole lot of money and developed the park, adding funfair attractions and rides. They continued to develop the site, and in 1968 they renamed it to Flamingo Park Zoo. This is the first time that the Flamingo name was given to the park. And I remember you could actually see a sign for Flamingo Park Zoo in front of the Kirby Misperton Hall. I don't know if it's still there, but you used to be able to see that. The park became the first place in Europe where you could go on rides and see animals in one place. Sadly, in 1974, the park was still struggling, so they spent a lot of money redeveloping and revamping the park to try and get more visitors. At this point, more amusement rides were added, as well as the first iteration of the miniature railway. An area named Cowboy City, Pets Village and Jungle Cruise were all added to the park during this time. A caravan area of the park was also added at this time, which is something that would later develop into be a major part of Flamingo Land. Sadly, despite their efforts, Flamingo Land continued to lose money, so in 1978 it was sold to Robert Gibb, a former director of Scotch Leisure, who were the previous owners. Robert developed the park immensely, including attractions such as the Fun Fort, Astro Slide, Circus, the Bullet, Thunder Mountain, the Crazy Loop and the Corkscrew, as well as transforming the park from a small zoo to an expansive theme park. This was also the time me and my family came into the picture. I was born in 1991 and my family took me there as a baby, a child, a teenager, and I still go now. In 1994, Pleasure Island, a sister theme park to Flamingo Land, opened in Cleethorpes, but that's another story. In 1995, the owner of Flamingo Land, Robert Gibb, tragically died in a car accident, leaving his theme park to his children, Robert, Vicky and Melanie. Gordon took over the running of Flamingo Land in 1995 at the age of 18 and still manages the park to this day. It was at this point that Flamingo Land began a massive transformation. In 1995, a Huss TriStar named Flamingo Star was built, as well as the Terrorizer, a fabric evolution. That ride was painful. So from this point, a lot of rides got built. I can't talk about all of them because there's just so many attractions and rides that were built from this point. but I'll try and talk about the most notable ones. Top Gun, a ride relocated from Kings Island in Ohio, USA. The next one was a miniature driving school, and this allowed children to get in mini cars in a mini town and drive around. I always remember there was a bus. You could get in a bus, so I think you could get in like a delivery van, things like that. All miniature battery vehicles. Also, Magnum Force was built at this point, which is a portable Schwarzkopf roller coaster, which was built nearby Bullet, another Schwarzkopf roller coaster that his father Gordon had built. In 2001, the Little Monsters area was opened, a highly themed area built on the popular Little Monsters animated series, featuring a dark ride, Den of Mischief, the Exploratorium, which was an indoor collection of optical illusions, and Dead Man's Drop, a vertical drop slide. I have bad memories of Dead Man's Drop because the only time we visited when it was there, I was wearing shorts, I think, and you couldn't go on it if you were wearing... You had to be wearing, I think, specifically tracksuit bottoms to go on it because it was a vertical drop slide. If I can find a video, I'll insert it here. But you needed to have protection on your legs on it, I believe, and I didn't. So I don't know how old I was then, but I was pretty upset about it. This was when the theme park was really starting to be transformed. In 2002, Seaside Adventure area was opened, which was a brand new themed area. Themed on British seaside holidays. It was one of the first themed areas of Flamingo Land, and it featured the park's mascot at the time, Professor Bubbles. This new area also included one of the park's first permanent thrill attractions, Cliffhanger. This was a unique S&S combo tower, which is still the tallest drop tower in the UK at 180 feet. It differs itself from most of the other drop towers in the world, really, because when it opened it was themed with red and white cladding going up the side, and it was themed as a lighthouse. Flamingo Land continued its impressive investment. In 2004, the Lost River ride opened, which takes you on a relaxing tour around rhinos, hippos, giraffes and lions before taking you up and then down a 60-foot drop. That ride also features some unique polystyrene theming, which I've never seen anywhere in the world. It was around this time the park also started to theme the zoo area and improve just the general look and feel of the park. Like the lion enclosure, that was improved. Everything was improved with sort of rock work and thatched roofs, things like that, to make it have more of an African feel. In 2005, investment continued with the opening of the Metropolis area. This was like an expansive area that started near the entrance of the park and went all the way through to the Seaside Adventure Park. This resulted in the removal of the much-loved Thunder Mountain, but a renovation of the entire area, including the installation of Vekoma motorbike roller coaster Velocity. This is like a launched motorbike style roller coaster, I think the second in the world that they ever built. And Navigator, a Zamperla Mega Disco, which is the first ride of its type in the world. Whew. This was a really busy time for Flamingo Land, and they did a lot of work improving the park, renovating things, removing old rides, and building new rides, attractions and shops. Before this, a lot of the rides in Flamingo Land were temporary fairground type rides, and these were slowly being taken out and replaced with permanent attractions that would last longer and feel nicer to ride, basically, and look better. It was also at this time a sad time for enthusiasts, where Magnum Force and the Bullet were both removed. These were both Schwarzkopf roller coasters, both travelling roller coasters. That one was a shuttle coaster that launched you up a vertical spike, then back down a loop around the station, and then back up another vertical spike. That was really good. And Magnum Force, it used to be a travelling roller coaster before it was at Flamingo Land. Then it was at Flamingo Land for a while, and when they removed it, I don't know if it travels anymore, but there's similar roller coasters built by the same company. Both great roller coasters. They were both removed at the same time that Velocity was built to make room for the next investment. In 2006, Kumali was built, which is a Vekoma SLC. People were quite wary about this at first, as Vekoma SLCs have a reputation for being quite rough. The Vekoma SLC is quite a common roller coaster. There's over 25 clones of it around the world, but Flamingo Land opted to get a custom model built, and they made a good decision with that because the ride is a lot better than a normal SLC, a lot smoother, and it's bigger as well. Continuing the year-on-year expansion, in 2007 the Splosh area was built, which featured a splash battle ride system that's similar to the one at Alton Towers, except this one you're sort of above the water. The one at Alton Towers you're sort of on the water. But it was the first ride of its type in the UK, I believe, and on that ride you've got people spraying water off the ride at people who are outside the ride, and then you've got people on the ride spraying the riders. It was quite a good idea. I'm not sure if the weather suits getting soaked in Flamingo Land. As part of the Splosh area, Flip Flop, a Fabry gyro swing, was also built. This one was quite unique again because they built it over water and it has a roof. It's a bit weird. But yeah, that was quite a good choice. It fits in. It was also supposed to have some fountains that like shot up from either side, and they did work sometimes, but no new ride was built in 2008, but I can let them off for this. They'd built a lot of rides year after year after year, as well as shows like the Sea Lion Show, the Bird Show, and the Bongo Dinosaur Show. They'd also added lots of food areas and other themed attractions during this time as well. In 2009 the Tidal Wave ride was removed and replaced with Mumbo Jumbo, an S&S El Loco roller coaster, which at the time had the world's cheapest drop at 112 degrees. At this point, the park had a very well-rounded selection of rides and attractions. Enthusiasts really liked it because they'd just spent every year building a new ride or a new attraction, so it was great. In 2010, a wooden roller coaster was rumoured, and in the end Nick Buckley, who I think was the rides manager, or he was high up in Flamingo Land, I believe, he released a 3D render of a roller coaster that was proposed for Flamingo Land, a wooden one that never got built, in an interview with a magazine, I believe, but sadly it didn't get built. Throughout this time, Flamingo Land were also developing and expanding their holiday park, which is actually bigger than the whole theme park itself. The holiday park allows people to stay for short periods, or they can also rent or purchase their own log cabin or caravan. The holiday park is a major earner for the theme park. It's basically what funded their massive expansion and redevelopment of the park. Since Mumbo Jumbo was built in 2009, Flamingo Land was mainly focused on building family attractions. In 2011 they built Zoom, a small aeroplane themed ride by Zamperla, as well as some smaller flat rides along the same theme. Children's Planet was opened in 2011, a huge children's playground area featuring interactive animal exhibits and a water play area. Dino Stone Park opened in 2013, which is a prehistoric themed area. It has a huge 151 foot high Zamperla Starflyer, a family spinning coaster called Twistosaurus, and other rides such as a Ferris wheel and a Zamperla Magic Bikes ride called Cyclosaurus. Hero, a Zamperla flying roller coaster, opened on the site of the old Wild Mouse. I do have to say though, this ride makes me sad. A massive change happened in 2014 when a new area called Riverside 1 opened, replacing the Seaside Adventure ride and adding a new open air area with new food facilities and a large stage which features regular entertainment. You often hear of some big acts and some very famous people playing at this stage, surprisingly, at Flamingo Land, so that's good. In 2016 the park opened new shows as well as new mascots, Mia and Milo, who are meerkats, not flamingos. They have their own show as well as a new Pirates of Zanzibar show, which also opened the same year. The park has continued development this year by redeveloping the old Professor Bubble's Seaside Adventure ride. They've made this area the focal point of the park basically, and on that site they're opening a massive new building and a go-kart track, surprisingly, which has a load of new entertainment and food places. So yeah, Flamingo Land has changed a massive amount from when it first started. Before I did this research I didn't realise how old Flamingo Land was. I thought it was sort of started in the 80s, but it's been going for over 200 years, so that's quite impressive. It's changed a lot from when it was first built, and it's continuing to change now. Gordon Gibb has made a massive difference to the park. He's transformed it, and so did his father before him. I do need to go back to the park, as I've not been for a long time. They've redeveloped it a lot more since then. Every time I go, they seem to have changed something, like changed the layout of something or moved things about. They're putting a lot of money into it, so it's good to see. One thing that they could do with is another thrill ride. They've not built one for quite a while. Hero was probably the last one, but I'm not a fan of that ride really. It's not great.
Please build a Woody, please.
Hope you enjoyed this video. I want to make more history videos like this. It just came to my mind today, and I'm a big fan of Flamingo Land. It was my local park for a long time. So yeah, if you have any ideas for where you want me to make a video about next, leave it in the comments below. And also like and subscribe if you like this video. If you're on YouTube, click the little bell button and you can get all the latest updates for our new videos. Thanks for watching. This was Adventures in Airtime. See you next time.
How much fun can your family pack into a Flamingo Land holiday? Included in the cost of your luxury holiday home, there's more than 100 rides, slides and shows to enjoy again and again, all at no extra charge. There's great entertainment for all the family, all day, every day, all included at Flamingo Land Holiday Village near Scarborough. It costs nothing to ring for details.